The subway rattled to a halt at the Jackson stop, and as the doors hissed open, I locked eyes with him across the crowded platform. Malik, frozen mid-stride like a deer in headlights, his face paling under the fluorescent buzz. My heart slammed against my ribs, years of silence shattering in that split second. Because there he was, the ghost I'd buried deep, and I had exactly 12 minutes to make it to the interview that could rewrite my entire screwed-up life. Malik? I choked out, my voice slicing through the commuter din like a blade. We need to talk now, or I'm done pretending you don't exist. I shoved through the throng, my polished loafers slipping on the grimy tiles, briefcase banging against my thigh like a guilty conscience. Malik didn't run this time. He just stood there, hands jammed in his pockets, that same old hoodie swallowing his frame, the one I'd bought him on a whim during our last spring break in Milwaukee, back when we thought forever was more than a punchline. The air between us crackled, thick with the scent of wet concrete and stale pretzels from a nearby cart, and for a heartbeat, I saw it. The flicker of the boy who'd whispered promises into my ear under starlit dunes, before he vanished like smoke. Chicago's Loop was a beast that November morning, wind whipping off Lake Michigan with a vengeance that matched the storm brewing in my gut. I'd woken up at dawn in my cramped wicker park apartment, the kind of place where the radiator clanged like a bad omen and the walls were thin enough to hear your neighbor's regrets. Today was it, the interview for junior editor at Windy City Pulse, the magazine that could yank me out of freelance hell and into something real, something with a byline that didn't scream starving artist. I'd prepped for weeks. Mock questions in front of a cracked mirror, tailoring my resume until it gleamed like fool's gold. But as the L train lurched toward the magnificent mile, fate, or whatever cruel joker ran this city, decided to throw Malik into the mix. We'd met freshman year at Northwestern, two kids from the South Side chasing dreams bigger than our zip codes. I was Lucas, the wide-eyed English major with a notebook full of half-baked poems and a chip on my shoulder from growing up in a house where love was doled out in leftovers. Malik was the engineering whiz, all sharp angles and quiet fire, the first guy who'd ever looked at me like I was more than a punchline in someone else's story. Our first kiss happened in the stacks of Deering Library, amid dusty tomes on quantum mechanics, his lips tasting like vending machine coffee and possibility. "You're my anchor, Luce," he'd murmured that night. Our bodies tangled in his dorm bed, the world outside fading to white noise. We built something fierce, road trips to the Indiana dunes, late-night debates over greasy diner fries, him sketching blueprints while I read aloud from Kerouac. It felt unbreakable, like the skyline we watched from his fire escape, lights twinkling against the endless black. But college has a way of exposing fractures. By senior year, Malik was buried in internships, his eyes shadowed with the weight of expectations, his dad's voice echoing in his head about making it, as the first in his family to graduate without a record. I was flailing, my thesis on queer narratives in American lit turning into a mirror of my own chaos. Then came the party at Sigma Chi, that godforsaken bash where the beer flowed like regret. I blacked out after one too many shots, woke up to whispers and side eyes. Malik found me slumped against a wall, some frat boy's arm slung over my shoulder in a photo that went viral on the hall's group chat. It wasn't what it looked like. I'd been too wasted to even register the guy, but Malik didn't wait for explanations. He packed a bag that weekend, left a note on my desk. "I can't do this anymore. It's not you, it's everything. No fight, no fury, just absence." He ghosted me through graduation, blocked my number, vanished into the ether of post-college limbo. I'd spent years piecing myself back together, therapy sessions in dingy clinics, dates that fizzled like wet fireworks, all while wondering if I'd ever stop tasting betrayal on my tongue. Now, here we were, adults in our late 20s, the platform emptying as the next train's rumble built in the distance. "Lucas," he said finally, his voice a gravelly echo of the one I'd memorized. "This isn't the time. You look good. That suit. What's the rush?" I laughed, bitter and sharp, the sound bouncing off the tiled walls. "Rush? Try the rest of my life, Malik. Windy City Pulse. The interview's in 10, and yeah, it could change everything. Get me out of scraping by on ghostwriting gigs for influencers who can't spell narrative." I stepped closer, close enough to catch the faint spice of his cologne, the one that used to linger on my pillows. "But you're the loose end I can't tie up. Why'd you run? That photo? It was nothing. A stupid night. And you've been dodging me ever since. Unfollowed on Insta years ago. Ignored my DM at Jamal's wedding last summer. What the hell, man? His jaw tightened, eyes darting to the tracks like he was calculating an escape velocity. Rain started pattering against the shelter's roof, a soft percussion underscoring the ache. You don't get it, Luce. It wasn't just the photo. It was me. I was scared shitless. My pops found out about us. Overheard a call, saw the way I looked at you. He laid into me, said I'd throw away my future for that lifestyle. Panicked. Thought if I cut it clean, I'd prove I was still his son, still the golden boy. He swallowed hard, rain streaking his glasses. But avoiding you? That was cowardice. Pure and simple. I built a life in Milwaukee. Job at a firm, steady paycheck. But every blueprint I draw has your name scribbled in the margins. I never stopped. The confession hung there, raw and ragged, as thunder grumbled overhead. My chest tightened, a flood of memories crashing in. Lazy Sundays in his childhood bedroom, arguing over Motown records. The time he drove me to the ER after a bad fall during a pickup game, holding my hand through the stitches. Betrayal? Yeah, it stung like hell, but underneath it was the deeper cut. The love we'd let atrophy. You broke me, Malik? I whispered, voice cracking. I wrote a whole chapbook about it, self-published that crap and sold 12 copies to pity buyers. Thought I'd never trust again. But seeing you here, God, it's like the universe is daring me to forgive. He reached out then, tentative, his fingers brushing my sleeve. The fabric of the suit I'd bought on credit, a armor against the world's indifference. Forgive? I don't deserve it. But if you're heading to that interview, go. Be the writer you always were. And if you nail it, call me. No ghosts this time. The train barreled in, brakes screeching like a warning. I hesitated, briefcase heavy in my grip, the platform vibrating underfoot. Part of me wanted to board, leave him in the rain, let karma sort the wreckage. But another part, the one that still believed in redemption scrawled on diner napkins, saw the man before me, not the boy who'd fled. We'd both been running, him from family chains, me from vulnerability's sharp edges. In that moment, under Chicago's relentless sky, I realized the real life changer wasn't the job. It was this, facing the fracture, not to mend it perfectly, but to honor the scar. Screw the train, I said, dropping my bag with a thud. Walk with me. Tell me everything. From the beginning. We stepped out into the downpour, shoulders brushing as we navigated the slick streets toward the magazine's tower. Water soaked through my cuffs, but I didn't care. His voice wove through the storm, spilling truths we'd both hoarded too long. By the time we reached the lobby, me 15 minutes late, him a sodden shadow at my side, I knew I'd reschedule. Not out of fear, but faith. In us. In the messy, human art of starting over. The interview went sideways in the best way. The editor, a no-nonsense woman named Rita with a hawkish gaze and a stack of dog-eared manuscripts, clocked my disheveled state immediately. Rough commute? She asked, eyebrow arched over her bifocals. Worse? I admitted, sinking into the chair opposite her glass desk. The city sprawling behind like a promise. Ran into an old ghost. One that needed exorcising. She leaned back, fingers steepled. Right about it? I nodded, the words already forming. If you'll let me. Turns out she did more than that. By week's end, I had the job and a column gig, Chicago Confessions, where I'd unpack the city's heartbreaks in ink. Malik crashed on my couch that first night, our talks stretching into dawn. No pretenses, just two men rebuilding bridges from splintered wood. He didn't move back. Not yet, but weekends became ours. Brunches in Andersonville, hikes along the lakefront. His hand finding mine in the crowd without apology. It's not fairy tale clean. His dad's calls still carry barbs. My doubts whisper on quiet nights. But we've learned the truth of it. Love isn't absence proof. It's forged in the showing up. Last month, over coffee at our old diner haunt, Malik slid a napkin across the table. His sketch of a tiny house on the lake, two silhouettes on the porch. For when you're ready, he said. I'm not all the way there. But damn if I'm not walking toward it one unhosted step at a time.